Hi everybody, welcome back. We are going to now see some other techniques for solving equations. So the first one is going to be solving an equation with a single radical. So there's kind of a basic procedure here. First of all, we're going to isolate the radical like a variable. So you're going to have to subtract terms, divide by things, and get the radical expression by itself on one side. And once you do, you can take the square of both sides and then solve for x by any means that you know. So, at best, you'll probably have a linear equation. At worst, you could possibly have a quadratic equation, but we know how to solve all that. But we may get extra solutions that are not solutions to the original equation, so we have to check everything. So, let's look at the example here. We have 5 times the square root of 4x minus 7, all minus 25 equals 0. So, our solution here is to first isolate the radical. So, we'll have 5 square root of 4x minus 7 minus 25 equal to 0, and we'll add 25 to both sides of the equation. And this will give me 5 times the square root of 4x minus 7 equal to 25. Dividing both sides of the equation by 5, we get that the square root of 4x minus 7 is equal to 4. Excuse me, not 4, 5. Now, squaring both sides of the equation, we'll get 4x minus 7. So we squared that side, we'll square that side, and we'll get 25. Then adding 7 to both sides, we'll get that 4x equals 32, and dividing by 4 gives us that x is equal to 8. Now we have to check to make sure this is actual solution. So if we take 5 times the square root of 4 times 8 minus 7 minus 25, it should equal 0. So let's see if it does. So we have 5 times 32 minus 7 minus 25. We want to know if that equals 0. So we'll have 5 times the square root of 25 minus 25 equal to 0. So this is 5 times 5 minus 25, and that does definitely equal 0. So it checks. So this is a solution. So let's look at one more problem and see what happens when we don't get a solution. So here's another problem. Square root of 5x plus 6, all plus 6 equal to 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite the equation and move the 6 to the other side. And at this point, you can actually stop here and say there's no solution to do any more work. And the reason is because you can't take the square root of a number and get something that is negative. So notice that this negative square root equals negative 6 is never true. Now, if you don't see that, you can continue the problem. So let's continue the problem and see how it would work if you did not recognize that. So you square both sides, you get 5x plus 6 equals 36. You subtract 6 from both sides, and you get 5x equal to 30. And then we get x equal to 6. So let's check our answer. So we have the square root of 5x plus 6, all plus 6 equal to 0. So we get the square root of 5 times 6 plus 6 equals 0. So we get the square root of 30 plus 6, outside plus 6 equals 0. So it's the square root of 36 plus 6 equals 0. And this is that 6 plus 6 equals 0, which is false. So no solution. So if you're a little clever, you can get away with this amount of work. But if you have to do it the long form, notice that the long form will actually end up at the same solution as well. So that's all we have for this video. So in the next video, we're going to talk about doing this with more than one radical. See you then.